Good evening, my lovelies, and welcome to Lady Creepypasta's Night Noise Horror Podcast. This evening we have a tale from Creepypasta Wiki that seems awfully familiar. So familiar, in fact, it's a tad bit worrying. But let's just get on with it, shall we? Come now, my dears. Lean in closer, and we'll begin. Picture the scene. It's late one night, around 1 a.m., pitch black darkness, with the only company being the sound of speeding cars on the motorway above. Two men stand below it. One covered head to toe to hide his identity, one a failed TV presenter looking for a second chance. The two met on Craigslist, as he was browsing for anything that could bring back the revival of his career. On the verge of giving up on everything, ready to take his own life, he found an ad that piqued his interest. What would you give for fame? When he clicked the ad, all he saw was the name of a motorway and time. He knew it was probably just a joke, a silly little ad that a few teens put up there to make a fool out of people. But yet, he felt drawn to it, compelled to go there and see what it truly was. So he went, and that is where our story starts. The two men exchanged glares until the motorway above was silent. "Are you ready?" said the mystery man in a deep, emotionless voice. The staring continued. "Edmonds, I asked, are you ready?" Edmonds stared, the cold night wind blowing his hair. He slowly nodded as the man proceeded a slip of paper, a contract with no words written upon it, only a dotted line to be signed. Edmonds wanted to put a fake signature, just in case this was some elaborate scam, but once again, he found himself to be too trusting. He signed it with his usual N. Edmonds, and then blacked out. He woke several hours later, refreshed and smiling. He scratched the back of his neck while trying to remember his whereabouts, peeling a plaster off his neck. He assumed, when he blacked out, that he'd fallen on it and thought nothing more of it. He set off home and went back to his day-to-day life, assuming it had just been a dream or a side effect of all the medication he was taking to deal with his depression. Then he became aware of the fact that he wasn't depressed. Not anymore. He wasn't angry, happy, upset, or depressed. He felt empty, like something had been taken from him. After a few days of feeling this, he'd grown used to it and had forgotten all about the events of that old night. He sat at home, eating cereal and watching TV, when the phone rang. It was rare for him to get a call. He didn't have many people left in his life that would call him, let alone anyone at 3 in the afternoon. It was an executive producer from Channel 4 telling him news of a game show that they want him to host. Edmonds accepted, and within the week, filming had begun. The premise of the game show was simple. 22 boxes with various sums of money in them, ranging from 1 pence to £250,000. There would be 23 contestants, 22 with the boxes and 1 chosen to play. But on the first day of filming, Edmonds demanded a change. He requested only 22 contestants. 1 would bring their box to the table. He also asked for a third person to be in the spotlight, an unseen friend of his. He called him the banker, a mysterious, unknown voice on the other end of a telephone. The banker resembled the new Edmonds. Cold, heartless, uncaring, with eyes only focused on money and materialism. As the game show became more and more popular, the banker would become crueler and more desensitized to the contestants' feelings. People that were in dire need of his money would be offered much less for the contents of their box, being taunted by his maniacal laugh as Edmonds stared at them, urging them to go on with the game. He knew the banker's secret. He knew that when the person dealt, they gave their life away. The only way to keep your humanity was to play until the end. Edmonds didn't want them to deal. He didn't want them to suffer the same as he did. He didn't want them to sign the contract. He gave his soul for fame. He became empty. But the banker wanted more from him. Edmonds' fame was the doorway for people to sell their souls for a small fortune. Their life, like his, was decided by one simple phrase: deal or no deal. My dears, I would love to know if any of you have ever been on this game show, or any game show. And if you have, do you feel different after? If you're listening on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. And remember to hit that thumbs up button as well. If you're listening on the podcast, let me know on social media. I am Lady Creepypasta on both Facebook and Twitter. And before we end, I would like to thank my wonderful patrons. If you would like to become a member of my dark family on Patreon, who are responsible for helping to keep this podcast and channel going, go to patreon.com/Lady Creepypasta for more information. As little as $1 a month really does go a long way to help sustain this channel. Once again, that is all I have for you this evening, my dears. I look forward to hearing from you. But for now, sweet dreams.